things just got really interesting because the Pittsburgh Penguins just lost a game to the New York Rangers, and there are some major injuries that happened to the team. And today we'll be discussing how this will have huge implications on the team going forward. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Penguins Digest. The Penguins, they lost, unfortunately, on Saturday against the New York Rangers, but that wasn't the only thing they lost because we do have a couple injuries to go over, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh. You know, their first loss of the season. Mike Sullivan was back in town. Ben Kindle scored his first goal, so we're going to go over everything and more in today's video. Before we do that, make sure you guys do, of course, subscribe to the channel. We are currently at 67.5% of viewers who are not subscribed, so if you are in that large portion of viewers who are not subscribed, scroll right below, hit that subscribe button. It's really easy because we are bringing you absolutely everything Pittsburgh Penguins Digest here on the channel. And happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadian watchers or listeners of Penguins Digest. I know there are a lot of Canadian Pittsburgh fans because of Sidney Crosby and among many other things. So hope everyone is enjoying their long weekend, and we'll be we are going to get into some stuff on Saturday that I wasn't able to cover because I was also enjoying my Thanksgiving because I am also from Canada. So I've talked enough. Let's get into the bulk of the videos. First things first, of course, Mike Sullivan was back. If we do look at his quote today from Penn's Inside Scoop, it was his first game back in Pittsburgh after being, I guess, let go and joining the New York Rangers. He said it's emotional. You know, it means a lot when you watch a tribute like that, which I was very appreciative of. The Penguins, they didn't have to do that. It brings back a flood of emotions. And obviously, Mike Sullivan's tenure with the Penguins didn't end how everybody wanted it to. Obviously, they weren't very good. I know Penguins fans kind of soured on him near the end, but he did kind of run his course in Pittsburgh, so I can't really be too mad at it. Obviously, 2 cups with the Penguins. One of the better Penguins coaches, I think, eventually when we look back at everything. So no hard feelings, obviously, I think, with Penguins fans and Mike Sullivan now. But at the end of the day, the Penguins were in a different generation, a different era of Penguins hockey that needed the young players to get more ice time. And Mike Sullivan was, trying to put a Penguins team together that would win, and they just didn't need to do that anymore. So, before the game was a nice tribute for Mike Sullivan, of course. So, and also before the game, you guys know Billy Koivunen, who is my guy, was unfortunately sent down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. He was on my fantasy team. And I have to drop him, unfortunately, because it's sad. It's sad because I was very high on Billy Koivunen, but I had to drop him. Obviously the big news. I'm kind of burying the lead here. Brian Rust was back last game. Here's what Dan Muse had to say about both those things. He's young. Part of it was also looking at if he's going to be out of the lineup, which he was because we needed a roster spot, and he was going to be the one coming out. Have him play games with Wilkes-Barre, obviously makes sense, was the thought process, so he could go there, play some games. We'll see where it all goes. There's a lot of upside. There was a lot of good. It's just right now, that's where things are today. Definitely has some bright spots. We see that. We're excited about him, but it makes the most sense right now for him to be playing. And honestly, I love this thought process from Dan Muse to get all the players, in the right spots to be playing games at the end of the day. Like, I personally thought players like Avery Hayes and Tristan Brose could have made the NHL roster, but they're in the AHL. They're going to be tearing it up, and now Billy Koivunen is going to join them, and I think it's just great for the Penguins because Wilkes-Barre Scranton has a lot of guys that could come up, especially if guys get traded, guys get injured. There's a ton of forwards, especially, that could come up and play really good minutes for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And, this was all kind of before the game, and obviously the game didn't go well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They did lose, what would that be? I guess 6-1, unfortunately. The big positive, if you want to take it out, Ben Kindle scored his first goal, number 81. I guess Penguins fans are familiar with an 81 on Pittsburgh. And it was a decent snipe. He walked in and scored. It was a good goal, but that was kind of the only bright spot because Zibanejad put up a shorthanded goal, unfortunately. Fox again, then Matt Rempe, and Taylor Radish added a goal at the end there. So, really nothing else to take away from that game aside from Ben Kindle scoring. But if the Penguins aren't going to be this playoff magic team that we want them to be, maybe, you just got to take some good with the bad. And Ben Kindle scoring his first goal, he has looked absolutely amazing with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And through all the offseason, I was saying Ben Kindle, I don't know if he's going to make the team, but if he does, he's going to make some waves. And that was, I believe, it would be his 3rd game. And the way things are looking, why not give him the whole season? Because, he might be too good for the WHL, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he will get back down there if it does make more sense for his development, and then eventually he will be on that Canada World Juniors team, which will be a lot of fun as well. And just looking at Kindle here, from Josh Owie, a super interesting stat. Ben Kindle and Sidney Crosby both scored their first NHL goal in their third NHL game, with Mike Sullivan as visiting coach on a Saturday night in Pittsburgh. So a little bit of a specific stat, but if we want to compare Ben Kindle to Sidney Crosby, I think we might have to reach a little bit because Sidney Crosby is just different. So, yeah, a little cool stat from Josh Owie. But congrats to Ben Kindle on his first NHL goal, and the way things are looking, it's going to be the first of many guys. So, that'll be super duper exciting. Just look at that. But unfortunately, Arthur Shelovs did not have a great game. 800 save percentage, 6 goals against on 30 shots, and a time obviously just really wasn't good, unfortunately. And I assume Tristan Jarry will get the next start. They're going to keep going back to back. Obviously, Shelovs was coming off a shutout, so it did make sense to, start giving him some run. But unfortunately, just, couldn't, give the same kind of performance. I don't think people were expecting him to get a shutout again. But 6 goals against is super tough, so I'm hoping he can bounce back whenever he does get that next start, of course. But, if you're down on Shelovs, you can be high on Miroshov because on the bright side, Josh Owie tweeted this after the game, Miroshov dropped 23 of 24 shots, and Wilkes-Barre won the game 2-1. So, super exciting there. I think Miroshov is long for the NHL eventually. We just have to wait to see what happens with Jarry and Shelovs, but I'm excited for Miroshov. I think he's going to be a number one, concrete number one for the Penguins. Eventually, I don't know how soon it's going to be, but him and then when Blomqvist comes off his injury, I think those two are going to be elite in the AHL. And eventually, to me, those two are the future of the Penguins goaltending, so it's super exciting. To me, the Penguins are pretty set on every position except defense. There's a lot to be desired there, especially prospects-wise, from my opinion, and even currently, but I think, if you want to look at all the positives, I think Kyle Dubas has done a solid job at putting together some good prospects, some good current NHL players. And the Penguins are in a good spot to either trade away, keep, develop, and I think Dan Muse has seemed like the perfect coach for that. So I hope Penguins fans are enjoying that, obviously. And then, unfortunately, Kris Letang did get injured in that game. He will be traveling with the team, and then obviously, Hayes is also making the trip, and McGrody is not. He said both Hayes and McGrody are status quo. They're progressing, but it's still multiple steps. So the Letang lower body day-to-day, so maybe he will miss the first couple games of the West Coast road trip, but maybe he will be back eventually. So, and then with Letang out, I assume Matt Dummel will be playing. I did read somewhere that Matt Dummel will be in the lineup, so maybe Harrison Brunick does get more of a shot on the second pairing, and then you bring up Dumma. I also heard, saw and read that Dumma had a pretty good camp in preseason, so it makes sense for Matt Dumma to get in. He's also a right shot, so it just seems like the most logical substitution to have Matt Dumma in there outside of Kris Letang. But hopefully Letang does get well soon because, it seems like Malkin, Letang, Crosby was obvious, but Malkin and Letang are playing pretty good, especially Malkin. So we are praying for the best for Kris Letang. Hopefully he's back very, very soon again. Day-to-day, who knows what that could be. Could be 2 weeks, could be in the next game. Who really knows? And the Penguins don't play for a sec anyway. And then, obviously, I don't expect the four lines to change very much. I think it'll look more the same. Raquel, Crosby, Rust, Mantha, Malkin, Brazeau, the huge line that everyone's seeming to love. Novak, Kindle, Hollander. I think Hollander has been pretty solid. And then Duer, Lazat, Achari. So, seems pretty routine from that standpoint. And then, just before we get out of the video here, the Penguins schedule. Again, they are in Anaheim tomorrow, playing the Anaheim Ducks, 10:30 p.m. Hopefully you guys are, able to stay up late for that. I don't know if I'll be able to. And then the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks, that wraps up the West Coast road trip. Then they are back home, all the way, basically a week from now to take on the Vancouver Canucks when they'll be back at home. So let me know what you guys are just thinking after this Rangers game. I know it was an emotional game with Mike Sullivan. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the win. And let me know what you guys are thinking of someone like Ben Kindle. Should they keep him on the team? How much do you think Kris Letang's injury will impact the team, especially during this West Coast road trip? But to me, the vibes are so good in Pittsburgh, despite, a tough loss. And I think they're playing a lot better than people might say. Obviously, they had already played the Rangers, so they wanted to get their revenge, some people might say. But I think it's going to be a super fun season for the Penguins. Still a lot of young guys that are coming up and down the roster, so it'll be very cool. So, with that being said, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. And, of course, we'll see you in the next one. Kris Letang, outdated, but Ben Kindle, I think he's long for the NHL here. So, see you guys in the next one. Peace out and have a good one as always.